My name is George Pearson, and this special Photoshop Elements video is part of a series that I have on doing photography techniques for wedding photography. You can see a few examples in here from the different videos. Now, all of these are using images that are available free on the internet, and I have a link in the description for you to download the videos if you want to work with the same images that I'm using in my video demonstrations. Please subscribe, click the like button, and of course always share on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever. I really appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the video. In this Photoshop Elements project, we're going to improve this wedding photograph by giving it a soft focus background. Now, I don't want to just make it just soft in the background and the hard in the foreground. I want to have it a little more interesting than that. Let's go ahead. We're going to create a lot of softness at the top and then bring it down to more and more in focus at the bottom. But of course, we want to have the figures in focus the whole time. So it's going to require just a few steps. It's not a difficult process, but it's one that will really help these figures pop out of this picture. Now, the first thing we're going to be doing is to create a selection around the bottom part of the picture and around the figures. And we'll keep that part as a focused image, and the rest we'll do a soft focus on. To keep everything real safe, I always like to work on a copy of my background layer. So I'm just going to take this background, drag it up here, and make a copy of that. And we can then use this for our soft focus. I'll do one more copy of this, and this one will be for our foreground elements for the figures. So let's go ahead and I'll just rename these ones. Call that one foreground, and this will be the soft focus. And then we can just hide that background layer. That, again, this is my safety. In case I mess up on these two layers, I can always go back to my background layer, which I'm not going to touch. So let's start off with putting in our soft focus on this layer. So we're going to do the whole thing as a soft focus, and I want it soft at the top and in focus at the bottom. Again, easy to do. Let's just first talk about doing focused in here. I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller so that we can, there we go, see what we're doing here a bit better. And just Alt on the zoom key and zoom out a little bit. There we are. Fits in the window a little bit easier to see now. Okay, now to put a soft focus on, the easy filter to use up here is the Blur and Gaussian Blur filter. It does a real nice job of blurring things out. If you go too far, it begins looking a little bit weird, as you can see. You begin getting some highlights and stuff happening. It's kind of odd. You can control the amount of blur using this radius tool right here. You have a little sample right there. Let's see if you wanted to find a spot you cared about. Right towards the top, which would be kind of like up in here. You can see how much softness there is by using this control. The preview over here applies it to the whole image. I want it a little bit softer than that. Now let's kind of move it over till it's really pretty soft on the top. That's a little too far. Just back up just a little bit. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Real nice soft up there. That's what I want. We're going to keep it in focus down below. Now I'm using this at 12.5 pixels. I'm just going to make that just an even 12. And that gives us our soft focus. Now, if you want to have this same effect, but you want to have it out of focus up here and in focus down here, we need to hide part of this soft focus and then show through. We can do that by using a layer mask. So go up here to layer mask, add a layer mask in. Now, white shows everything and black hides. I can demonstrate the basic idea here by taking our black paint. There we go. Let's go to our paintbrush. Make sure that you're on the layer mask. Notice the blue, the light blue outline around there. And let me just find a standard brush here. That's the wrong brush. Let's go clear to the top. And let's go to our basic brushes. Let's grab just any old brush here. And I'm just going to paint in black. Now notice as I paint in black, it creates a hole in my soft focus. You see there's that black bit, there's that hole. If I have something in behind showing, like that. Notice how that is now in focus. So that's the idea. And the interesting thing about this layer mask is that it also works with grays. If you have a gray tone in here, you're going to get a partial transparency. So let me just fix this little bit here. I'll fix the hole by painting white over that. We'll get rid of the hole. Now I'll use that concept, but this time I'm going to be using this with a gradient. Let's go to our gradient tool here, click on the little gradient option, do the foreground to background gradient, which is foreground black to background white, and set linear, that's good. Opacity 100%, that's correct. Now it always paints the foreground color first and goes to the background color last. I want to be doing white at the top, black at the bottom, so I'm just going to reverse that. So white at the top, black at the bottom. Now I'll click up here and I'll drag straight down, and that gives me a gradient on here, white at the top, black at the bottom. And you can see now how I have soft focus up here and it's in focus at the bottom. I think I'll have it just a little bit further. I'm going to come down a little bit like this and then pull down from here. Gives me a little more softness. I'm just trying to find just the right spot. I'll pull it down from about a quarter of the way down. That looks pretty good. I want to have it soft, fairly soft in behind their heads. So there we go. There's a soft focus to sharp focus. And that's done by making the whole image soft focus, using the layer mask with a gradient on it to hide down below. If I hide the background, you can see here's what's happening. There's a full image soft focus and it just kind of fades away. And then in behind, we're seeing the original image. So there's the full focus down below. So that's the first part of this. Now all we need to do is to use our foreground image up here, cut these figures out so they're sitting in front of our soft focus layer. Okay, let's go to this foreground layer. And this is going to require making a mask. Now we're going to be doing this in a couple of steps. I'll use the polygonal lasso tool and I'll zoom in so you can get a real nice clean look on this. There we are. That's pretty good. Go real wide. There's the whole image. Okay, back to our tool. And for this selection, I'm going to go along here and just find some hard edges to follow to begin with. This will just help to hide where that edge is. If you follow along an edge with your selection, it makes it very difficult for the eye to spot where you're overlapping the images, because of course we're overlapping onto the same image, which gives us a definite advantage here. Now when you're using the polygonal lasso tool, take your time when you're clicking. Each time you click, it sets a point, and then you can move the line around to your next position and click and make a point. So I'm just going to slowly follow up along the dress here. Now take your time when you're doing this. Make sure you get it right where you want it to. And again, down below it's not going to matter that much because it'll be in focus as well. The trick with the polygonal lasso tool is to not click too quickly or it's going to collapse the selection, and we don't want that. Okay, I'm just going to kind of slowly come around the edge here. Now if I was doing this for a professional output, I'd zoom in even further and take more time. Now the hair is a little bit tricky, so I'm going to come out a little bit here, and we're going to use the refine edge tool around in there to clean up that bit. And same thing around his head. We use the refine edge tool for that. So I'll just kind of give myself some space to work in. And then I'll come back in at the collar, which is good. And then I can just work on down the left side here of this figure. And we'll just go ahead and finish up this little bit of selection. So it's just a matter of just taking your time to do, the whole real trick on this technique is to do a nice selection. The better your selection, the better the technique is going to look. It's going to work very, very well. Okay, just kind of finishing up now. Now if you're in a spot like this and you're using the polygonal lasso tool and you need to go off screen, just go down just out of screen, and notice how the window automatically scrolls for you. Real nice little feature there. Okay, the bottom area is fine. I'm just going to come down here again to the outline of this little brickwork here. This will hide that selection edge. I'll just take it outside. Once I'm outside, I can just continue to click outside here and then go back to the original starting point. Click on that starting point. There's my selection. Now I want to fix this bit here. So let's zoom in. There we go. And back to our selection tool. Let's go up to Select and Refine Edge. Now, first thing I want to do is to give the Smart Edge a try and bring this in a little bit and see if that improves your selection at all. Sometimes this is all you need to do. Notice how it's pulling that selection in. As I move that over, it's pulling that selection in closer and closer to the figure. If you hold the Shift bar down, you can pull the image around and see how well your selection is working. Okay, we're not doing too well over here, so let's just pull that Smart Radius back a little bit. That's really not doing what I want. I'll give it just a little bit. Now, you can try adjusting by smoothing your edge, feathering, contrast, shifting your edge. This is kind of like a last thing to do. What I want to do now, though, is to clean up these edges. And notice that we have this paintbrush tool here. This allows you to refine the edge. See, it expands the edge detection area. And this is going to restore the original edge. The edge they're talking about is the edge of the selection that we made. Not the edges of your figures. It doesn't know where that is yet, but the edges of the selection. So now I can take this refined edge. Notice the brush size. You put on the white. See, there's the brush size. If you pull this over a little bit, you can adjust the brush size right down there in the options panel. I'm now just going to paint right along the edge of the figure here, like that. And Photoshop Elements will try to come in and clean that up or retest that edge. Now that's too much on the Smart Radius. Let me just get rid of that Smart Radius. It's really not working out for us. Let's see if we can clean this up in here by switching to the Eraser tool. And then I'm just going to erase right along that edge. And that restores that edge. Okay, so using these two tools now, we can kind of work back and forth and try to have Photoshop Elements do a better job at grabbing our selection for us. Now you may have to still do a little bit of touch-up on this, on the mask, which we'll do in just a minute. This is especially nice around hair. It works out very, very well on hair. But the trick is to go back and forth. Now, this is why I left myself some space up here. Makes it easier for me to come, to work back and forth. Okay, now you can see where the red is. That's where it's going to go back and put the original back in again, actually erase that edge. And let's use this just to kind of clean up the edge of our image, edge of the selection. So you can find that edge better for us here. And again, it's just a matter of working back and forth until you get just what you want. If it doesn't really want to do it for you like that, I'll show you how to fix that in just a minute. Let's just get the side of his face over here. There we go. And let's take her the rest of her hair. We'll just work right along that edge. And that does a very good job there. And I'll make sure that the hair is clean in here with the eraser tool, that we're not losing anything. Okay, so there's a few spots left. We can change our view up here by looking at the on black view like that. And you can see how there's parts of this really hasn't worked out well. In here, I want to restore the original right along that part of her face. Make sure that's all in good. There we go. We'll fix this bit on the mask itself. And that little bit right back there. You can fix all that with the mask. Okay, so far so good. Let's go back to the overlay view. Now, I want to output this. I can output it as a selection, as a layer mask, as a new layer with layer mask. This is what I normally do here. New layer with layer mask. Click on that, choose OK. And it gives us a new layer up here with the layer mask. And it hides that other layer. Now, at this point, we can see where it's a little bit in focus in there. And that's because we have some of that image showing through on our mask. If I hide everything else, you can see there it is, that edge. Let's just make it easy to see. I'm going to make a new background layer right here. This new layer like that. Make sure I'm black. Grab the paint bucket on fill, and I'll fill the layer with black. Now I can really see that edge in there. So let's go ahead and clean up our mask. So click on the mask, and as we saw down here, black hides and white shows. So I can clean the mask up by choosing the right paint brushes. Just squeeze this down a little bit here. And let's go to our paintbrush. Make sure I'm on black. Black hides. So I want to hide that background. That brush is too large. Let's bring that size way down. There we go, just a little one like that. And I can now come in here and actually paint onto the mask itself and do any little cleanup that I need to do that wasn't caught by the Photoshop Elements Refine Edge tool. This is one of the nice parts about working with a layer mask, is you can always go back and adjust after the fact by just adjusting or painting onto the layer mask, either painting with white or painting with black. Again, the nice thing about this is that we're putting this right back on top of the same image. So if you're a little bit off, no one's going to spot it. It's just going to blend in with that background. And we'll see what I mean by that in just a minute. So we're already out of focus down here. I just made a little mistake there. Well, I'll paint that in with white. I'll just fix it with the white. This be kind of a rough bit here. I'm not going to worry about that edge down there for the moment. And we'll just clean that out from the other side. I'll come in here a little bit. Now let's change our color to white. And white shows, so I can now come back in and just trim those little edges and around the chin, get it exactly where I want it. And of course over here on the jacket. Again, all I'm doing is I'm painting white on the mask now. So white shows and black hides. All right, let's go back to our black, reverse our colors, and let's finish cleaning up around the groom over here. And just take your time and just make a real nice job. Again, because we're working on a layer mask, you can go back and forth with black or white or black until you get it exactly right. You made a little mistake right there. No problem. Just switch over to white and just touch up that edge. Okay, back to black. Now the little rolling up of the picture right there, I was just using the wheel on the mouse to do that roll up effect. Again, because you're going to be showing the original image just out of focus in behind, you don't have to be perfectly exact on these edges. Any little off bit is going to be hidden and you won't be able to see it at all. Okay, we're just about done actually. Just clean them a little bit more over here and a little bit down around in here. If you're wondering what I'm actually using, I'm using a mouse with a wheel on it, just a wheel mouse. I'm not using a tablet or anything. This is actually easier if you have a tablet and that's my preferred way to work. But since most people don't have tablets, I'm doing the demonstration using a mouse. And as you can see, it works. You don't have to have a tablet to do this. Okay, made a little mistake right there. That's easy to fix. Go to white, clean that up, and I think that needs a bit of cleanup right in there. Okay, that looks good. I think we're fine. Let's zoom out a little bit. Hold the Alt key down. Zoom out. It's a little odd right there, but that's going to disappear. I'm not going to worry about that. I think everything else looks fine. Okay, so what we have then up here is just the figures, the foreground and the figures. All the rest of this stuff is hidden by that mask. Right now we're seeing that black layer, so if I get rid of the black layer, that's just a transparency in there. We can now show this soft focus layer. There's a soft focus, so it's soft focus up here, and it goes to a transparency down below there. So if I now show the original background, there we go. And what we have is soft focus in the background coming down to a nice sharp focus in the foreground area, leaving our figures in sharp focus. And as you can see, I'll zoom in just a little bit here. As you can see, this really makes these figures stand out from that background now by doing that nice little soft focus technique. I took a little bit longer here for the discussion so you could really see what I was doing, but it's really a pretty fast way of doing this effect. As you can see, we're all just working just from the one picture, but it gives us that real nice professional photography soft focus background effect so that our bride and groom really pop out of the picture. So there you go. That's how to do a gradated soft focus background. Thank you for watching this special Photoshop photography project video. Don't forget to subscribe so that you will get first notice of new project videos in the future. Just click on this link right here where it says subscribe here. You can get all 12 project videos in this series along with 26 special videos demonstrating the tools and techniques that I used in these projects by clicking on this link right down here. And then thank you again for watching this training video.